What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Your Requests. This is the segment on my channel where you request a movie for me to review, and I've been having a lot of fun doing this so far. It's really entertaining for me because I watch a ton of movies, and obviously, the past several years, I've released a review every single day, and so choosing which movies I want to watch, a lot of times I get caught up in new releases or I get, hooked onto a genre or things in particular. And so you guys requesting movies to me, it's really cool because sometimes I'll be able to watch something that wouldn't necessarily be right at the front of my watch list. And this is a movie that I'd never heard of before. And I read the plot description. It's a survival kind of thriller movie. And I was looking forward to it for that very reason. And the movie I'm going to be discussing with you today is Trapped. Trapped is directed by Vikramaditya Motwane. A man gets stuck in an empty high rise without food, water, or electricity. So I was excited to watch this movie, knew a very little bit about it, just reading a plot description, saw that it was filmed in India. I always love watching movies from other countries. I always look forward to watching films, especially in different genres from other countries. It's a lot of fun for me. And I found this movie to be incredibly entertaining. I liked it a lot. I wouldn't necessarily say I loved it. I think the movie definitely has its fair share of flaws, but it does shine in a lot of moments and really provides just an entertaining, very suspenseful, thought-provoking movie when it comes to just if you were put in this situation yourself, how would you go about it to survive? And I'm looking forward to telling you about it today. So I apologize if I absolutely butcher these names. I'm going to try my best to pronounce them correctly. So at the beginning of the film, we are introduced to Sharia, who is this man working at I think he's working at a call center, some kind of office job. And we see him early on having this conversation with this woman over and over again. And we see them eventually start going on dates. And the two of them are having a wonderful time together. They really enjoy each other's company. And we find out really early on in the movie that the woman that he is dating is actually scheduled to have an arranged marriage. And he is fighting so hard for her to just kind of abandon that and to be in a relationship with him and the two of them to run away together. Well, currently he lives in this bachelor pad with like 4 or 5 different guys, and he wants to get out on his own to provide a place for her so that they can have their life together. But he doesn't have a whole lot of money. He's trying to build up savings so that he can find a really nice place. So he goes and starts asking around to find somewhere that's within his budget to be able to live at. And some man overhears him and says, "Hey, I've got a place for you. It's a little bit unconventional, but you can move in there and get started and you'll be totally fine." And it's a building that it seems like no one else lives in. And they have this guy who works as a watchman there, and he takes him up. The door kind of jams when they first go in to look at the place. And he's like, "This is just, you just got to put the key in and really kind of push in there." And he takes him in there and he says, there's water, there's heat, there's a place for you to stay. And it's a decent looking place. And so he's like, "Wow, this is really surprising for the amount of money I can give. I'll take it." And so the first couple days he goes there, everything's fine until one day he goes in, he accidentally leaves his key stuck in the door and the door shuts on him. Well, there's no one else in this building on his floor. The only person down below is the watchman that they have in charge watching the building. And so the entirety of the film is this man is trapped in this building doing everything he can to survive, trying to send out messages, utilize the water even though it gets shut off at one point, has to make sure he's hoarding resources, and it's just one man's attempt at survival. So like I said, I thought this movie was really entertaining despite the fact that I think that it does have some flaws, but I do want to start talking about the positives. I thought the lead actor in this movie did a phenomenal job. Whenever you're making a movie about someone being trapped somewhere, everything is about, emotional expression and the realism of how someone would react in that type of situation. And I really loved the wide array of emotions he goes through. Like, there's a period of time where he starts talking to like animals that he sees in his apartment and like rats, and he's eating bugs and all this. And you can just kind of see him slowly start to lose his mind. And I thought that that was a really nice touch. And I think that he really delivers a fantastic performance. There's a couple of moments where the director incorporates these very like surreal, absurdist moments where like he sees this guy in a nature documentary early on and he actually comes through the door and starts talking to him. And I liked those little touches. I think it really did a great job kind of putting yourself in the eyes of what this person is trying to experience. I also really enjoyed the utilization of sound design in this movie. It was very unnerving, and they did a really good job with the cinematography as well, kind of alluding to where the movie was going to go. Like when he would first plug his cell phone in to charge it, and you notice that the charger on the wall wasn't sticking perfectly and it wasn't always charging, or like the hints of the water going out. And I really like the utilization of cinematography and sound design to kind of immerse you in this world so that you can feel what this character is experiencing. And what I really liked about this movie is the logic in the decision making, the things that he did to try to get people's attention. Because there's a while he's just sticking his face through these metal bars and is screaming for someone to come help him. And that's what everyone would probably do first. But when a day goes by and you're like, this isn't going to work, he starts to get more creative. He creates these little messages that he throws out. He lights things on fire. He does all these things to try to garner attention so that he can be saved. And I really liked that all of the logic in his decision making was sound. And that's what really worked for me about this movie. And I thought that overall, because of his performance and because of the attention to detail and the cinematography and the sound design, it made for a very entertaining experience. I do think the movie feels a little long, unfortunately. There are some scenes that feel a little bit repetitive. There are also some moments where I feel like they could have done a little bit better with building that suspense, because there's sometimes one of my biggest complaints with this movie is I was not the biggest fan of the utilization of music. There's some really strange, weird musical choices that don't necessarily attribute to the feeling of just unease and that feeling of anxiety of like, will you survive this? Can you get out with your life? And I think some of those really kind of like slower, quieter moments weren't necessarily as reflective as I think the director was going for, of like the audience sitting with this person's experience. I just wanted more. It's like almost an hour and 50 minutes, and I just wanted more in the runtime. And I liked the whole startup of these two people that want to be together, and like something, puts a separation between the two of them, and then obviously a real experience that this guy's going through creates an even more distinct separation. And the way that the movie ends, it was okay. Like what the message that it was kind of lingering on when the movie was ending, I feel like it could have hit a little bit harder. I didn't think it was terrible or anything. I just wanted a little bit more out of it. But I do think overall, despite those minimal critiques, the movie does a really nice job at putting you as an audience member in this really horrific situation, and it goes there. Like he has to do some really extreme, awful things to survive that a lot of people, unless pushed to the brink, probably wouldn't engage in. And I think those are really the highlights of the movie and what make it worth watching. And I do think this is really entertaining despite any sort of qualms that I have with the movie. I think it's 100% worth you giving it a shot and checking it out. So have you seen Trapped? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was really entertaining despite some of the issues that I had with it. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.